All right, guys, are you ready for this? Hello, friends. Welcome to a video where I'm not actually vlogging. I wanted to start out this video saying that obviously if you're watching this video, you probably want to stop counting calories or maybe tracking macros, and honestly that is a huge deal. Kudos to you for actually wanting to stop this. So I think that is honestly the first step with stopping the addiction, because basically that is what it is. And now I'm gonna start off saying that I'm not a doctor, I'm not like a dietitian. This is just speaking from my personal point of view, things that have helped me, yada, yada, yada. I just feel the need to put out this disclaimer so people don't roast me. And calorie counting isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it is something that gets abused so often, and something that can really go unnoticed, can just be really typical, really normal, especially in the fitness world. However, it can become a behavior that you get reliant and dependent on, and that is when the efforts to do something right goes extremely wrong. And a lot of my obsession with calorie counting and needing to know exactly how much I was eating came from a fear of gaining weight. I wasn't afraid of food, I was afraid of the consequences of eating. This calorie counting becomes a coping mechanism. When you feel very out of control with your life, when you don't feel good about yourself, when you feel kind of, worthless, you turn to this thing that you can control. And that gives you a very fucked up sense of, I guess, a good feeling, but not for the right reasons. You feel in control of something in your life, but however, this thing starts to control your life. Here we are a few years later, and I can officially say that I do not count a single thing. Think that we fear that when we stop counting calories, that we are just all of a sudden going to lose control. And I think that's what keeps us in this, this prison, this torture prison in our brains, is because we fear not having control. So if you are sick and tired of living in your brain and counting calories, the alternative to that is eating intuitively, which is basically just a fancy word for eating like a normal human being. So I'm gonna tell you guys something that really resonated with me, that kind of made me realize that I think a lot of us, eating disorders or not, have a very unhealthy relationship with our hunger. So you all of a sudden feel like you need to pee. Would you ever tell yourself, hey, I've already peed 3 times today, I don't wanna overdo it, and then just ignore the feeling? No, you would never do that. But so many of us do that with our hunger. We don't want to respond to our body's hunger in fear that we're going to get set off of this little rule book that we've created for ourselves. And we need to follow this rule book, because this rule book makes us feel in control of our life, which also then is this nice little security blanket that makes us feel like we're not going to gain weight. So to jump right in, I'm going to start with saying, be realistic with yourself. So give yourself a realistic goal to realize that obviously you're not going to forget the calorie count in food overnight, but let the goal be to get to a point where that calorie count doesn't matter, where that calorie count doesn't dictate whether you're going to eat it or not. A lot of the time we go for food that is just low in calories, even if it's not exactly what our body wants. And fun fact, when you restrict yourself of the food that you want, our bodies are very, very smart. You're restricting yourself of this food that it wants. Well, you know what's gonna happen? You're gonna end up craving that food, and the inevitable is bound to happen. And you'll probably end up, instead of just eating those 2 cookies that you could have there, you'll end up eating the whole box of cookies because your body wants that food. The second really important thing that I did was make small changes. So I did not just, delete my MyFitnessPal off of my phone overnight, stop tracking everything, and just bam, I was cured. So what I did when I was still counting calories is every day I would have something that I didn't track. So whether that be a bite of someone else's food that, you can't dictate how many calories are in that, and then that slowly progressed into one snack that I didn't track. So I did this for a while where I almost loosely tracked calories. I wasn't strict anymore. I wasn't weighing food. I was just almost guesstimating. And I realized that my body was okay. Seriously, I know how we think. We think that, if we're not to the T, if we're not strict, our bodies are just going to, balloon up. But I think by doing this for a few months and realizing that, hey, like my body is fine, I realized that I didn't have to be so strict with myself. My body wasn't drastically changing on me. So I felt almost not as dependent on calorie counting. And now the third thing is a wee bit harder, or I guess easier said than done. And that that is responding to your hunger. And I know you guys have heard it so many times, eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, yada, yada, yada. But as people who have tracked calories, we have skewed our hunger cues so much. We were all born with a natural ability to eat when we're hungry, stop when we're full. But living in this beautiful world that we live in today, there's this thing called diet culture. We are taught that food is bad, that food is good, that we shouldn't eat this food. So this is like the bathroom thing I said. You wouldn't tell yourself not to go to the bathroom because you just went to the bathroom. You would just respond to that feeling, that natural feeling. And we need to understand that we have to do that with our hunger. If you need to hit a certain amount of calories because you're recovering from an eating disorder, that's completely different. But I'm saying when you're at a point where you can eat intuitively, responding to your hunger is so important, regardless if you just ate, regardless if it's even like a mental hunger. Sometimes getting back those hunger cues, you're going to have to experiment. You're going to have to probably fuck up. You're probably going to have to eat when you're not very hungry, but you think you're hungry and you're trying to figure yourself out. You need to show your body, you need to pave a path so that it can understand that you're going to respond to it. And then your hunger cues will slowly start coming back and you can start relying on those better. And if you're showing your body that you're giving it the food it wants when it wants it, your body has this amazing way to be like, cool, like she's giving me a cookie when I want a cookie. Now I don't feel the need to eat the whole box of cookies when I get the cookie. And as I started just listening to my body, even if it was 10 minutes after eating a meal, I found when I responded to those kinds of things, the less that my brain was consumed with food. And I mean, I know you guys know, your brain, our brains, we track, all we think about is food. Another really crucial thing that I did, and this again takes a very, very long time, is I had to make peace with food. For so long, I had such a toxic relationship with food. This stems from a fear of gaining weight, of losing progress, but you need to realize that our bodies don't need to be so strict. You are allowed to eat salad and feel great about yourself, but you are also allowed to eat ice cream and you deserve to feel just as good. There was a day where I was weighing out the grams of my lettuce. Weighing the grams of my lettuce. Life is too freaking short to be weighing your damn lettuce. You know what? Your self-worth does not change based on what you decide to eat. You need to take the time to make peace with food and know that you are more than your body. When you realize that you are more than your body, when you realize that your weight may fluctuate, when you realize that no one's going to treat you different if you're a 10% body fat versus a 20% body fat, I promise you, you won't feel the need to be so strict with yourself. Because why? Why are you depriving the quality of your life to have abs to take an Instagram selfie? Another thing that helped me at the beginning when I wanted to stop counting calories was giving myself an opportunity to stop. Maybe it's going out to eat. Maybe it's having your mom or dad cook you food, but not preparing your food for you is very, very frightening because we fear that unknown. We don't know what's in our food. We don't know how many calories, but doing this was so crucial to be able to, I guess, stop counting calories completely. So if you can just get yourself to go out for one meal, wake up the next day and realize that you didn't gain any weight, that your body's still here, you're still alive, you're still breathing, you have a roof over your head. And you know what? If you can just do that and do it again the next day and do it again the next day and realize that, hey, you know what? My body's gonna be okay with me not counting these calories. And your body, I promise you, will not sabotage you. I promise this. And it's so much easier looking back once you do this to realize, oh my God, my body didn't just explode into a freaking balloon. Another thing to realize is that no 2 days are going to be alike. It is so unrealistic to set yourself, let's say, 200 calories a day. I would eat even though I wasn't hungry just to reach that goal. Then there was the opposite on days where I was a lot hungrier and I would not allow myself to eat above that 2,000 calorie goal. And you know what happens when we do that? We stop listening to our inner hunger. We stop listening to our body. We just focus on this number that we need to hit regardless if we're not as hungry, if we're hungrier. There are going to be days where you are so much hungrier than others. Then there's going to be days where you're just not as hungry. But the cool thing about eating intuitively is it all kind of balances out because you aren't at this stagnant number every single day. All need, different amount of calories, and we can't rely on the internet or some app where you plug in your numbers to just spit out a number and think that it knows your body, because it doesn't. You can't punish your body for wanting what it needs. Again, it goes into the bathroom theory. If you need to pee 4 times a day, you're not going to be like, no, I'm only peeing 3 times a day today because that's too much. I don't want to overdo it. You're going to pee 4 times a day if you need to pee 4 times a day. So if your body's telling you to eat 6 times a day, 7 times a day, 8 times a day, respond to it. It all balances out at the end. You don't need to be so strict with your calories. All right, another thing that is very, very important is to stop comparing yourself to other people. I know you might think, okay, what the hell does this have to do with calories? But it actually has a lot to do with it, because I know for myself, I would look online and go, okay, this person's eating this many calories, this person's eating this much protein, this many carbs. That's not your body. Their body is so different than yours. We all have a genetic blueprint, basically what our body's happy weight is. And you know what? Not every day you're gonna feel great about your body, but I think a huge deal is to just realize that you're more than a body, to have days where you're so consumed by, living life, enjoying yourself, that you don't have the time to think about your body. Your happiness does not need to rely on your body. And once you put in the work to realize that, you won't feel the need to be dependent on calories, because regardless if you gain 5 pounds, if you lose 5 pounds here and there, you're still the same person on the inside, and it doesn't reflect you as a human being. Something else that has really helped me is to realize that weight fluctuates. Now, I threw out my scale when I stopped counting calories, because I knew that the control of calorie counting would go into the control of now watching if my weight would rise. Stop weighing yourself. Your weight fluctuates based on if you've pooped or not, if you've peed or not, if you've gone to the gym, if your muscles are sore, if you've ate something with lots of salt. All of that stuff doesn't mean weight gain, but I promise you, if you step on that scale and you see that you've gained 2 pounds, you're automatically gonna think that it's fat. My weight has fluctuated so much now that I eat intuitively, but to you guys, you probably would never even know that. You wouldn't know if I gained 5 pounds or 10 pounds here and there. I don't wear a necklace that says, hey, I'm this amount of weight. No one knows how much you weigh. So if you're going to, pick yourself apart because on the scale it says that you've gained 2 pounds, do you really think that people notice if you've gained 2 pounds? It's not visible to the eye. And when you realize that these fluctuations in weight aren't as visible as you think they are, it makes it so much easier to let yourself, again, be looser with this calorie counting, to stop calorie counting. So all in all, there are so many things that you can do to stop counting calories. But the main thing that has helped me is just realizing that you are so freaking much more than your body. I know how freaking cliche that sounds, but when I felt that I just didn't need to fit myself into this box of being super fit or being super skinny. And once I began to be less strict with my counting, I got to experience so many things that I never would have really been able to, like traveling on vacation and being able to eat what I want, going to the movies and ordering popcorn, super simple things that maybe someone who isn't counting calories might just take for granted, thinking that anyone can do that. But I know that when you count calories, you don't ever eat food that you can't count. And to be honest, I was willing to go through the anxiety and the guilt and the really hard thoughts and the negative body image days to be able to be free from this. And I have never been so freaking happy in my life, and I'm so passionate about this topic because I went so many years missing out on so many things, and I see people missing out on things, and I want you guys to know that you don't need to be so strict with yourself. Your body will be okay, because I know that's the number one thing that's holding you back. The unknown, the fear of gaining weight, the fear of, binging because you can't control yourself. When you follow these things that I've said, when you trust your body, when you trust your hunger, when you respond to your cravings, when you stop restricting yourself, your body is not going to binge out on these foods because it knows that you are allowed to eat them, that you will feed it the cookie when you want the cookie. You'll be able to go to Cinnabon, eat one Cinnabon, feel really good, make some really good memories, and just, not dictate your worth on that. I want every single one of you guys out there to know that it is possible. I want you to know that even though you think that you're going to be stuck like this forever, I know that you're not going to be. You do not want to be 50 years old and still counting the cookies that you're baking, maybe with your children, because, you're afraid of losing your abs. You are so much more than that. I wish I could shake every single one of you and let you guys know that you're so much more than your body. Like, it is okay to gain weight. Gaining weight is not a bad thing. Your worth does not diminish if your muscles diminish. It is okay to say, you know what? I'm not made like the models that I see on the magazine covers. It is okay to accept that. It's okay to be different, and people will police your food, and people will be around you telling you that you shouldn't eat this, that you should eat this. You are able to live a life of happiness. Do not let these people affect you, because guess what? Your happiness matters. At the end of the day, you're going to bed with yourself. You are taking your brain to bed. You have to live with yourself. And if you are constantly consumed by thoughts of numbers, of guilt, of negativity, that is no way to live your life. And I'm telling you right now, once you let go of numbers, you let go of diet culture, you let go of negative self-esteem, you let go of so much because you realize that you are more than just controlling your body. That is it. That is all. And I love you all very much. Please just know that you are worth so much more than your body, whether you are in recovery, whether you are just like a yo-yo dieter, whether that you just feel the need to, keep up with society and all that stuff. Like, you don't need to. And it's such a hard thing to go against society. So what you're doing right now is like such a brave thing. And no matter how big, how small, maybe it's not tracking one meal, maybe it's not tracking a whole friggin' days of meal. That is such a huge accomplishment. You deserve to be proud. And I'm very proud of every single one of you guys. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.